And joining us tonight to discuss the next steps in the investigation is Tracy Walder. She is a former FBI agent and a former CIA officer. Thanks for being with us. So in a lot of cases, it's not clear what the motive is, right? But here we have this manifesto, we have this profile already created. All of the answers seem to be before us. What do you make of it all?
So thank you for having me. I think that in listening to all of this and reading through his manifesto, the core of his motivation was an idea called the Great Replacement Theory. And this is actually a theory, and I put that in quotation marks. It's been around for about 200 years, and it really started in revolutionary France when they felt that sort of white Europeans were being driven out by Africans and folks from the Middle East. And that theory then really parlayed itself west into the Americas, and then really became ingrained in neo-Nazi groups and white supremacist groups here in the United States. And I think where it really came to its forefront was back in Charlottesville, when we saw them sort of chanting in the streets things that went along with the Great Replacement Theory. And really they believe in sort of the idea, and I believe this was written on his gun, the idea, the number 14, and it's 14 words, and it says, "We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children." And really that's the core of what they believe, and that's the core of his motivation.
And I know there are questions about his gun. It was obtained legally. They also found 2 other firearms in his car, but there is a question about where the magazine came from. What are investigators doing right now to try to piece all of this together?
So that's a great question. It does appear that it was obtained legally. However, it sounds like he clearly made adjustments to the gun that are illegal. And so what they're probably trying to do is trace back where that gun originated from through the purchase receipts, probably through any credit card receipts that his family has. I think his family is going to be very key in this investigation. It sounds like he lived with them, and he was really just out of high school. So I think they might be able to shed a lot of light in terms of where the funds to purchase that gun came from and where that gun was purchased from.
And we know this was premeditated. It was carefully planned out. He's been charged with the highest charge, murder in the first degree. It carries a life sentence with it if he's convicted, but he's pleaded not guilty. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's interesting. Initially, I was surprised by that plea, but now, just in terms of reading more, I'm not. I do believe, and as sick as this sounds, it's very difficult to wrap our brain around. I do believe that he believes in this Great Replacement Theory, and I think he believes that what he was doing was furthering this ideological goal. Therefore, in his mind, he is not guilty. What I do see could potentially arise down the line are competency hearings, simply because I know he had a mental evaluation, I believe, last year. And so I think that's going to come into play as well.
And how will that come into play? I mean, how does this happen? How do people fall through the cracks like this? This is not the first case we've heard of where a mass shooter was on law enforcement's radar before, had some sort of mental episode, threatened to shoot up a school, and then later came back and actually carried out a mass shooting. But he was a minor at the time. Is that a loophole?
I think that that's a huge loophole, in all honesty. You're absolutely right. And I think it's like you had mentioned before, we saw this in Parkland. The shooter was very vocal on social media. In fact, I think students were sharing screenshots that he had made to Instagram threatening to shoot up the school. We saw this at Sandy Hook as well. So yes, I do think that it's potentially a loophole. However, if he receives a mental evaluation and if he was cleared, which we don't know, the details of that yet, then it wouldn't necessarily be a loophole. If he was cleared and didn't have any issues, then he would have been able to purchase that gun legally.
And we saw in the manifesto that he talked about other mass shootings that he was inspired by. And, journalists always struggle with this because we're trying to explain what happened. We're trying to express the motivation so we can learn more about it, right? But at the same time, does this coverage contribute to, the motivation of sick individuals who have these depraved ideas? He mentioned the other shootings specifically.
That is such an excellent question. I do not think that the media is sort of perpetuating this ideology. What I do think is perpetuating this ideology are things like 8kun and 4chan. And we know that he used 4chan significantly. And we know that the Christchurch shooter and multiple others, the El Paso shooter, used these chat sites as a way to become radicalized. They really look at the political chat rooms or chat boards on these sites, and they're kind of hiding under the auspices of free speech. And I think that's where the core issue is, because that's where the radicalization is happening. The media is simply bringing awareness to the issue, which I appreciate.
All right, Tracy, thank you so much. And we'll be joining you again coming up in the next hour to talk more about the social media aspect of it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.